Hi, everybody. I hope you guys are having an incredible night. Welcome, welcome. So, today we're going to talk about a couple topics. I really want to go into a couple things and get some work done because definitely our current energies that are happening in the universe right now are promoting a really welcoming change internally and externally. Okay, so what that means is that as we are working collectively during this time, many things are shifting, and over the past five years, I think a lot of people have gone through major waves of just clarity in what they're doing, clarity in what they're experiencing, and clarity in what they're looking to manifest moving forward. This is very important because we need to remember once again that we are not separate from the whole. And what that means is that every single choice that we make in our life, every action that we take, is assisting this movement, this flow, not just of your own life, but it's affecting the movement of the collective. And I'd love to share with you just some perspectives that I came into channeling this week about the importance of our clear intuition and utilizing that as a tool for discernment. And it's something that I think we've been preparing for together here as a family, and you as seekers individually. You've been kind of working and fine tuning the instrument of your multidimensional body, and through your meditation work and through the connection that you have with yourself and your life and the universe, you begin to fine tune this incredible instrument that you have of intuition. Intuition is the engine of creation. And intuition and intention, when both these things are in alignment, we really begin to propel forward into the art of manifestation. And the manifestation laws of this universe, as we know, are based on the law of three. But as we move forward here, moving through this final stretch that we're kind of moving through in this 10-year cycle that we're a part of right now, we are beginning to change the way that we're manifesting. It becomes faster, and because the field is becoming aware of itself on a larger scale, because each human is becoming aware of themselves more about their multidimensionality, about their connectedness to source, the entire organism as a whole is moving quicker, it's faster, it becomes aware of itself, and so it becomes unified. And so this unified movement that we're working through, it's almost as if we've gone through this, alternating phases over the past 10, 20, 30 years where we come in and out of these moments of awakening. And this is always a natural part of the cycle of waking up. We go through dark nights of the soul, we go through moments of deep and powerful clarity, and then sometimes we go right back to sleep again. And so it's really important for those of you that write to me very nervous and very upset that you guys are going through a dark moment, to remember that the process of evolution is always going to have that ebb and flow. And it's not just because that's something that you're going through and it's natural for us humans to go through, but it's also the design of the movement of this entire multiverse. Literally, we are alternating and moving vibrationally through different densities. And so as we move through these densities, through heavier, slower densities, it becomes harder to pull through collectively. Through faster moving densities where the energy is lighter and we have some certain planetary alignments that help energy move quicker and reach planet Earth faster, all the organisms on planet Earth begin to connect quicker and more clear. So there's a couple things that we want to look at and we want to kind of dissect because of this, understanding the way that this moves and the way that this universe is structured and the role that we're playing in this structure. We need to understand how this human vessel functions. And every organism inside the body as a cell and as a whole whether it's a planet Earth or a galaxy that plays a role in the multiverse, we seem to, each organism seems to move through energy in this way. When the vibrational frequency becomes dense and slow, it's harder for energy to move through. So what's going to happen to the entire galaxy is a similar adjustment energetically, and to all the planets within that galaxy. With humans, which I believe all planets have humans, not humans, other different species of life forms. Each one of these organisms, depending on their structure, the architecture of their form, the architecture of that world, the density that it is residing in as its origin and its architecture, it will receive the information in different ways. Every single planet has its own DNA, just the way humans have their physical form and have a holographic storage system of information. And so when planets are vibrating and changing frequency as they move through these densities, remember that all living organisms on that planet are also shifting. Why is this important? Because if we understand the cycles of how the greater universe functions, we understand the effects that it has on our body. And so hopefully with that more visual understanding, it'll help us to come into a state of compassion with ourselves when we're going through struggling moments energetically, and when we feel the density is always slower. Okay, so these organisms have within it different substances. It can be different elements that are part of the structure of this earth, of this world, and depending on its makeup, whatever the main source of conduit of energy is within that planet, that will be the storage system for this information. On Earth, we have a lot of water in this Earth, and in a sense, there is another substance within the core of planets called goo, but it is a collection of programmable intelligence, which is like genetic material. And so all of the information is absorbed through the planet Earth, through the layers, to the etheric layers of the planet, but then going into the cores, it goes through the water and through the soil, all the way down to the core magma. But even beyond that, there are other aspects of the Earth, and perhaps other worlds within that space as well, dimensional planes that exist from the same architecture of the Earth, in which humans reside on. We are moving, depending on the density of the planet. It's easier for energy to access all living organisms. Okay, so what does that mean? Why am I telling you this? Because at this time right now, when we're going through these shifts, the entire multiverse is moving through an incredibly dense energy. It started going through that dense energy when we went through, the pandemic, at the very beginning of the pandemic, in which everything completely slowed down to a stop. And the reason for that is because of the kind of density that we were moving through. A couple of years ago, I saw that we would be processing and working through a kind of red substance, which is the way that the universe translates the frequency and wavelength of information and density that we're going to move through. And this red energy is a very slow moving energy. It is the most dense of the frequencies. And in the human form, how we process that and what it triggers in the nervous system and multidimensional body is fear. It's survival. So the entire planet was going through that. Every human is going through that on many different ways, not just because of the things that are happening outside. These are things that have affected the internal, psychological, subconscious part of the body of the human. And it is important that when those opportunities arise, that we work with that information. Why? Because this density that we're moving through is not going to last forever. And what happens is that from now until 2024, we're going to be basically slingshot in another direction energetically, in which we are moving through a higher density. And as we come towards that higher density, some things have to happen in the physical body in order to prepare for that shift, energetic shift. So we're slowly going through mini shifts energetically, and we experience them, like, for example, the 222 alignment of energy, and many dates that through these next couple years that will allow and compassionately offer an opportunity for you to do that internal work. The internal work is not just sitting down and meditating. You are literally changing and transforming the human entire organism. Why? Because we are energy. And so when we store in the body dense emotions, fears, anxieties, angers, insecurities, any kind of limiting belief and inverted thought form, when we are doing things to our physical body that are harming the physical body, coming out of alignment, intoxicating the body, for example, all of those things are inversions of allowing source light to move through the physical body in a fluid manner. And when that happens, the organism becomes sick. We can have an illness, we can have our life externally fall apart, and many other things can occur as a result of that. But it is incredibly important for the human vessel to be constantly an open channel for pure life force to move through the body. And so, that being said, how does the human, now we understood how planets, we know how galaxies function, we understand how the human body functions, how does the human begin to cleanse up the human body in order to become that clear channel? Intuition is really the key element here, because intuition is the language, the universal language of the non-physical. And taking that to the next step, intuition is a processing system of frequencies, vibration, information. Okay? So we essentially are systems of translation and channels of life force, of source life force through the body. You are a conduit of that. So if your language, energetic language, is fear, very simple example, but the way that we handle and we heal this is the understanding that there are two main emotions in this construct. Because we're living in a dualistic expression, we are working with fear and we're working with love. Right? So these two expressions are the two ones that humans are kind of moving through and experiencing infinite possibilities through either of those spectrums. And so when we are in fear, this is why I always refer to fear, because from fear comes any other emotion that is the imbalanced aspect of what is balanced. Love is what is balanced. Love is what is growth, vitality, nurturing, life. And fear ends up in death, essentially, because it's a counter-creative energy. So if we get that very clear in our mind, it's easy somehow to choose between those two in your everyday life. And so what happens in the physical body when we store fear, or when we continue to be a conduit for fear, as opposed to a creative life force, is that we're blocking ourselves from becoming this channel of infinite source energy that has the potential of contributing to the benefit of the whole collective. And this is very important, because when you look at things from the higher level, when you look at the humans on the earth, every single one of you has the opportunity to channel this source light and play an important role in the collective evolution. Everything is available to you, of course, based on your own choosing and free will. But remember that the laws of the human experience are to experience that dualistic expression, and that one promotes life, and that one will lead to death, or the dissolvement of this physical form, eventually. So what we want to really understand is that when we become this clear channel and we remove all of those blockages from the physical body, now the body comes in and can actually access infinite amounts of information, number one. Number two, has the ability of using discernment in a way that is productive for itself as an individual and the collective. And we are kind of graduating to the next level in the way that we're looking at things now, because we want to shift our view and our focus from individual to the collective. And we can only do that if we are able to embody a really powerful unconditional love for the self, and we master unconditional love, because it's in that not only frequency of unconditional love, but physically and mechanically, when someone embodies unconditional love in their physical body, you are clearing out, flushing out meridians in the body, organs, you're healing the organs in the body, you are regenerating your life force, and you are immediately a vibrational match to source, because that is the frequency that we are. We are inherently this infinite life force. And so in order to be able to channel this life force through the physical body, we have to open up the heaviness that is stagnant within the body, that blocks that life force coming in. And we are blocking it in different ways. The human body has a cord of life force that moves through the center core of the body, and we also have the cord that moves through the center core of the body vertically and horizontally. And so these are the channels of energy, and from here creates a grid in your physical body where there are very fine little threads of information. They're little threads. Literally, it is like a lattice, and actually the entire universe is also functioning in this way, that it contracts and expands this lattice as we are shifting vibrational frequency. This lattice, this invisible lattice that we are existing through, is what allows the hologram of your physical body to come to life and to engage in the physical matrix, or this holographic experience that we call life. And so each one of these little fine threads that move through the physical body are connected directly through the meridian lines of the body to chakra centers in the body, and also to external points of energy in the body, because we are the actual human form is probably about 40 to 50 feet wide, and even more so, you must understand, it is the entire universe. You are the universe energetically, because you are all these dimensional planes within your body. And so if you imagine yourself as all these dimensional planes interacting in this field of experience, you actually have a lot more power over what you're co-creating than you might think. And so what that means is that we need to learn these tools that have been taught for centuries to all of the people that have sat with themselves and discovered and explored the internal worlds. They have seen this, right? And so this is how together over centuries we write down notes on what we've discovered, and when we compare them, we understand that there is a certain architecture to our reality. There's a certain kind of beautiful design. There's an intelligent design. And that really is something beautiful, because it really helps us understand that the human has a very kind of specific role, in a sense, in the movement of this collective organism. And what is that purpose? Well, to simplify, we are either conduits of infinite life force and source into this organism, or we're not. And when you take it to the next step, the human body actually, in our genetic information, is a culmination of all of this data that in the matrix is genetically modified to produce certain humans that have genetic information that are specific to carrying out certain vibrational frequencies. And together, it's like a symphony of humans that are complementing one another in order to create contrast in this human organism. So every person that is in your life is not in your life just by chance. It is completely the intelligence of resonance and the unification of this resonance that is occurring naturally from every human expression. Okay, so as you begin to kind of move through this human experience, the more you understand your environment, the more you understand that the emotions are the key. And once you master the emotions, you come online to the next grid of the language of that grid that we are experiencing is the non-physical realm, which is the intuition, which is our ability to translate the information that we're picking up from this non-physical realm and utilizing that information in order to navigate properly. When we don't have intuition properly working, it's very difficult for the human to discern and to see what's happening around them. And I'm not just talking about the little, you know, things that are occurring in the world which are orchestrated many times to create scenarios as an expression of this contrasting energies and experiences. The earth went through this major cloud of heavy stagnant energy. And the end goal of that is kind of two things. It's an opportunity for the genetic information in the human body, which is constantly storing experiential data. And from that experiential data, the genetic code is being written, changed. And the changes that are occurring in your life right now are going to affect the next 10 generations, of course, infinite generations ahead of you. So that kind of awareness, at least for me, really shakes you up and lets you kind of come out of any place of depression or feelings of loss or disconnect from what you're experiencing right now. And as soon as you start shaking out of any kind of states of depression, fear, all of those things that are rooted in fear, you begin to generate again life force and begin to reconnect yourself with that source, and you can see clearly what is happening around you. All of the things that are occurring in the world that are placed to create fear and destruction and all of this is really assisting us to begin to move through that. So let's talk a little bit about, so in the human body, the DNA, our holographic DNA, which is a storage system of information. Not only is it a storage system of information, but it's also the data bank of information, not just of yourself, but the entire whole organism, the multi-organism, okay, that we are participating as a part of. And the purpose of that is that when you come into Earth, you have all of that junk DNA, and when you're first born, you're completely awake and completely aware of that. You have all of that genetic information available to you. But in the womb, in the gestation process, even the moment of conception, is created a vibrational frequency. That spark of light at the moment of conception creates a vibrational signature for your entire life. Before that, you are a vibrational frequency that finds its match, its family, by resonance. And this is kind of how information is organized as it manifests into the three-dimensional plane. So all of your life experiences are going to be based on the cyclical history that you are coming into. Okay, so keep that in mind. And how that helps you when it comes to intuition and discernment is that if you can identify the patterns that no longer are constructive and creative, you can choose immediately to end those cyclical patterns and choose differently. And the best way to do that is to observe what would be the opposite way of doing things. And usually when you look at the exact opposite of it, you quickly can answer that question. And if you try it out, if you try it on the fragment of yourself that experienced that trauma, immediately that fragment of yourself begins to transform. And we are not just imagining these things. You are accessing those fine little threads that move through the physical body, that make up our entire environment, this net that we are experiencing. infinitely in all directions is storing information about yourself in this timeline and other multiple timelines. So as you dissolve that thought form, immediately it releases the stagnation of source, because source inherently moves through everything. Okay, because it is that the channels of infinite consciousness are available through these threads, because it is creation, and everything that manifests in some manifestation, whether it's physical, non-physical, is on some level has this. It's an extension of that consciousness. Okay, so as we are moving through these little threads of information, the body can expand. And the more that we work in the integration of these aspects of ourselves, the more we can expand. And it's not, what does it mean to expand? People think it's just like, oh, your light body is growing. What does that even mean? What that really means is that the fragments of yourself in this grid, in this grid that it revolves around you and is within you and is you, basically is changing its vibrational frequency and changes from a dense structure to a light structure. Okay, so a lot of times people talk about the stagnation information. We are changing it from a heavy mass, slower vibrational frequency into a high vibrational frequency, which moves fast. And so that's what we want to do. Now, why is this important and talking about the next coming years? Because when we're moving through evolutionary cycles, as we are always, the human existence and this grid that we partake in, and keep in mind that in our grid of creation is the entire multiverse, but also we are interconnected with all the other humans and their grids. Okay, especially in families, and all the people that you know in your life are attracted, and they're in your life for resonance, because of resonance. So they're a match to your grids, and they're an extension of your grids. So we are one in so many infinite ways that if you could see it, probably if people were more visual about this, I'm pretty sure that it would be easier for you to understand quicker, what emotions to choose in your everyday experiences, because this more bird's eye view helps daily choices become easy and fluid, and more healing, more impactful. Okay, so this grid that we're clearing up now, what happens is that every fragment of yourself that is created through trauma, your soul becomes fragmented through trauma, and the fragmentation of that soul is energy that is stagnant within these threads of energy that are yourself and are around you. So when you clean that up, you are literally clearing up that thread, which means that you're expanding the conscious awareness of that thread, which is an extension of you, which is the entire multiverse that is a part of you. So little by little, when we're unaware of interdimensionalities, for example, we're working within the inner circles of this grid and the inner bodies. You're working on the first chakra, the first body, the second chakra, the second body, the third body, so on and so forth. So as you clear out, and most people, unfortunately, they really only clean first, second, third, maximum, but they never get to the good stuff, which is activating the heart, the throat, and the third eye. And these are the bodies that are mostly affected in the back end when we don't clear up the first part. Okay, and the fun of the creation human is actually up here in the higher levels, because this is where we can begin to use intuition, and through all of the psychological aspect of that intuition, which requires the balance of the feminine and masculine psychology and physicality, you can begin to master matter. That means that you can affect matter, you can change your frequency and change the frequency around you, you can heal your body, you can communicate telepathically with people, and you can become intuitive in communication. Okay? So it's really important. It's very important that we understand that, because this is how you become a manifester, a creator, a healer. You're a human experiencing life on a whole different level. And not only are you affecting the collective, but even more so, you are bringing source light through your body, through all aspects of yourself, through all channels of yourself, which is fragments, which is aspects of yourself. Because as you wake up and activate more of your of genetic information, your data bank, as you access more of that, as you access, you now have gone into higher dimensional planes. So you become lucid in dream time. You can begin to navigate the astral plane. You can begin to access your ET or your interdimensional aspects, angelic beings, whatever it is that you want in the 9, 10th, 11, which are all you, all aspects of yourself. So this is incredibly important because for another part is experiencers, which, I work a lot with experiencers that become fearful of the contact. It's a matter of shifting your vibrational frequency, and the experience that you're having is for the purpose of the dissolving of that inverted life form. Okay, inverted energy, inverted program and belief system. And really, the intelligence of this organism in creating the lives that we're having, the experiences that we're having, transcend just an idea that we're inside of a matrix. Even though this matrix has certain laws and limitations within it, when you go outside of this matrix multiverse, you notice that this beautiful experience of duality that you're experiencing is assisting the collective, the even greater collective beyond that, because it learns through every organism that participates in that dualistic experience in order to expand itself. So imagine that you are a cell inside of another human organism that is also going through their evolution. That's how it works. And we are trickling down through the dimensional planes, evolving collectively. So it is a really powerful way to look at yourself as something more, so that you can understand how to change in a way that's elegant and contributing to creation. So I really want to check in to our chat. Thank you so much for joining me, you guys. I love you so much, and I've missed you. Luana, Nothing to Find, hello. RR2, hi, so good to see you. Pono, welcome. Truth Seeker, hello. Kathy from Ohio, great to see you, Ohio. Thank you for coming in. Anna Palmer, RR2, like. Oh yes, please do like if you do like it. Anna Palmer, I did. You are incredible, Jerry. Thank you so much. Easy Rider. Forfeel, is this a fallen world? Not at all. And I think I just explained that now because, it is all part of much greater experiences and manifestations of infinite possibilities. Okay? Crystal Light Codes, welcome. Soup Ace. I always feel great, uplifting, and loving vibrational energy of yours. Thank you for sharing your amazing energy and insights. Thank you, Soup Ace. We love to make things vibrate, especially feminine species. We have to vibrate and move all parts of ourselves, my love. When hasn't Earth been in dense energy? Yeah, this is three-dimensional planes, so it's going to feel very physical, very heavy at all times. But there have been, again, we notice, for example, look at how we have moved from 30 years ago to where we are now. Definitely more people are definitely becoming aware, asking the right questions, doing the work. I mean, it is really amazing what's happening in the world. And believe it or not, the end of this is to come together. We are coming together. And if you're not participating in coming together in unity, then you need to check in to what you're doing, because our outside world is a reflection of what's happening inside, and that's true in all dimensional planes. So Phi, don't forget RR2. So throw the clock out the window. Time is about to fly. Welcome. Which explains why it's a curse. Word, some energy. Systems get clogged and stopped up. Clarify that for me. If you have questions, put them down below. I'm happy to answer them right now. This realm is a heavy emotion, holographic spectrum world the consciousness creates What is feared most as learning challenges are always being pushed on us an adventure or problem. Making love also has its challenges, issues, problem. Such a great surprise to see you. So great to see you, Brown Dot Flop. Vanessa Smith, hi. Jenny Spa, hello. Great. So Chinese medicine was right because they have been going on about energy meridians for 6,000 years or more. Yes, absolutely. That is a wonderful place for you to study and learn about these meridian lines. And we're kind of taking it to the next step because now we're talking about the extended field going into higher dimensional planes. But we need to master the physical first. That is really the most important. Is God an energy or a personality? I don't think there's anything outside of us for a feel. I think that we are the creator of everything, and personality is really just a construct that's self-created. Yeah, so like vibrations attract like. Yes. Adriana, welcome. Angie, S. Tuna, nothing to find. So good to see you. Angie, Kobe Belson. Adriana Hador, why the vaccine? So, okay, so this goes into the other part of the conversation where we talk about the genetic aspect of what is happening in all of this. When we are experiencing these kinds of shifts in movements, it's almost as if every cell that is happening and moving through this low density now going into a higher density. When we're not preparing the physical body for that higher density, eventually the human body becomes ill and dies. It dissolves, right? So we understand that. And we're getting into that phase now, which means that we have to work on health, body, mind, and soul in the physical body. But what happens in this heavy density that we're moving through is that those that are not in tune with themselves and in connection with their highest expression sometimes are kind of making choices that move them out of that alignment. And when they're not in alignment with their intuition, they make choices that are counter-creative to themselves. So it's really, really important that as we work with the information, we are listening to what our body is saying. If our body is saying, no, I don't want that, then we have to listen. And when it says yes, then we just listen to that. Because ultimately what's important is the belief system. However, genetic modifications have been occurring on human species since the beginning of time. And there are many things that are contributing to genetic modification, to the weakening of the human, okay? One of those things is the food that we're eating that is not providing enough nutrients for us sometimes. Energetic, emotional manipulations, and mass mind control to block our ability to see beyond the physical plane. And another is genetic modification that is occurring in different ways. It can be chemically, it can be with our environment, it can be with the toxins, with technologies that are happening in the world around us. And essentially the genetic body becomes so weakened that it just has a really hard time struggling to even become aware of itself as a self-governing sovereign entity. And so we have to become aware of that and try to look at ourselves as this self-governing entity, and you can change it immediately. It doesn't really matter if you do have that or not. The power of your mind should be able to govern the body and what the body is going to do. Unfortunately, there are people that are being affected by that in different ways. And so, again, my advice is that we have to master the mind and master the physical body. We can heal the physical body with our mind at any times because it's vibrational frequency. Your body is energy. It's not just matter. So if you maintain source moving through you, it doesn't matter what you have, you will be able to sustain vitality, longevity, healing, all of these things that are necessary for the human. And this is something that have been proven to us, for centuries. I mean, there are people that train themselves to drink poison and have the ability of still being, healthy, even though they drink that. Okay, so the power of the mind has the power to rule all of the organs, all of the system, and you need to cultivate that, and that requires training and clarifying. Okay. Yeah. Love, peace, happiness, harmony, love, safety. Thank you. Pure dreams, infinity. Yep. Hi. Crystal, welcome. Soul family. Johnny Spa. Great. Let me see if there's any questions. How to heal an infection through chakra clearing meditation. Yeah. So infections are basically the immune system. Couple things. First of all, the immune system is affecting the physical body, and the immune system is not collaborating and it's not communicating with the physical body. So what affects the immune system is stress, and any stagnation or problems here in the lymphatic system of the body. So it's really important to do detoxes in the body, but more importantly, your vibrational alignment with your body is going to be essential to the healing. So when we're clearing infections in the body, the heart chakra is usually the one that's blocked. Heart, and then there's a chakra here in between the heart and the solar plexus and the solar plexus. So it's a 4 chakra system: the throat, the heart, the solar plexus, and the root chakra. All 3 of these are being affected when we have these infections in the body. So I want you to clear all of those, and you're going to bring white light through the body. You're just going to visualize a vortex of white light coming up from the center of the earth, and you're going to visualize that you're going to anchor it down into the center of the earth. You're going to pull the infection out of the body, flushing the system. There are also some Qigong techniques that I can invite you to look at, but I would need to know what kind of infection. So if you let me know what it is, I can direct you and give you some more assistance about that. What about ancestral healing effects? Is any of it real? I feel their DNA was incredibly harmful on the lineage. Yeah, so this is exactly what we were talking about, having these threads of data that are moving in and around us. Our ancestors are they're an expression of all the genetic information that informs our physical body and our physical experience. So as we do our healing work, remember that you made the choices that you made in your life as a result of all the programming that went down your lineage from your family. So you believe the things that you believe because of the things that you were taught. And when we don't check in with those belief systems, they become who we are. So the idea in DNA reprogramming is to begin to review your belief systems. And first of all, ask yourself if it's something that you're in alignment with. Is this really your belief system, or is it an adopted belief system? And when you go through that, you might be very surprised that a lot of the things that you think you believe are not really what are in alignment with you. So the next question is why? Why are those beliefs systems in place? I want you to observe your ancestors. What did they believe? Why did they believe that? Notice if they are in a state of love or fear at the time of adopting those belief systems. Notice what contributed to the circumstances of that fear and that love in their history. And you're going to take that back all the way, as far back as you can go. Okay, all this information is in your DNA, so it's accessed through the physical body and the mind. You will be able to access it. An easy way to access the information is by following the emotions that trigger causes you, because the emotions that you feel are the storage system of that memory and belief system in the body. And it is stored within the muscle memory of the body, the nervous system, your genetic information, and of course the fields of your body which are storing that, which are these little threads of information. So when you do ancestral healing and you're dissolving a point in your field, you are also affecting the replicated aspects of yourself that are your ancestors. So it could be, let's say, first it goes down your mother's lineage, your grandmother, and then it's going to come over to your father's lineage, because couples that come together and form families are united by resonance. Again, they have the same belief systems. Even if you look at them and they look like complete opposites, the core belief system is the same always. Even if they end up in divorce, even if they come from adopted families, this is the resonance. Resonance is a more profound vibrational frequency that is created from the subconscious and the collective unconscious. So this is something that taps in deeper than just surface, what you're looking on the surface. When you identify that, it's really powerful because you begin to understand many reasons why you have so many ancestral same patterns going on. And the moment you liberate that, literally your ancestors, which are fragments of yourself, again, simultaneous timelines, you begin to expand. They are you, you are them. You are, again, allowing source to move through these points of reference of consciousness in the field. And so this is how we begin to become whole. They are you, and they are in a further aspect of your dimensionality. And so when you become aware of that point of view, it turns on. Source can move through it. Your energetic body has now expanded because that point in the far aspect of yourself has turned on. And because we're a holographic system, not only is it external, but it's also inside the body. So for example, your liver, let's say your liver is really having a hard time right now. And when you dissolve this aspect in your field, the liver heals. You see, because it's a holographic meridian system, and all the organs in the body that contain data that's coming in from the chakra system is very much part of this entire system that you're participating in. Thank you for that question. Hi, Geraldine. What's your perspective on the ancient Buddha race or civilization? Buddha race. Let's clarify. I'm not sure that it's defined as a race. We can clarify that, but as a belief system, yeah, I've studied, a lot of it. But I feel that I've seen many little loopholes in some of the belief systems, and I feel that it's not complete because it's still missing the next part of understanding of our multidimensionality. I think that only the deepest teachings that usually the monks in the inner circle learn are actually more complete than what's more popular mainstream Buddhist teachings. Okay, so my advice across the board, any religion, is that you need to go inside and do your own research. And I, at least for me, never was able to find the answers externally. Okay, so this is something that you can begin to explore. What piece of wisdom would you say to someone who's going through the recall process? MK Monarch, thank you so much. Okay, oh, great. Thank you so much, Crystal, for asking that question. So the recall process, what does that mean? That you're beginning to uncover and unlock memories of yourself in these experiences in MK Ultra, which is mind control programs created by governmental systems, and they are very traumatizing. And the purpose of these programs are several reasons. One of them is cloning genetic material. Another one is the destruction and deep fragmentation of the physical body. And another one can be to mobilize, to utilize the human as a pawn, essentially, to carry out certain things for, very self-serving agendas that these programs are trying to carry out. And so what happens is that many techniques are utilized to destroy and destruct the light body of the human, but activate the and magnify the intuitive abilities, which usually the people that are chosen for these programs are incredibly intuitive. They already have incredible bloodlines, and what that means is that they are genetically modified bloodlines that have activated usually royal bloodlines and bloodlines that were heavily preserved, which means that they have a concentration of data within them that can be utilized and sometimes weaponized against certain systems. And so, what that means is that you actually have a tremendous amount of power. And I've worked with many MK Ultra and Monarch survivors. And what I find is the most powerful is to focus on integration of your fragments. Because in these programs, because because it's necessary to fragment the soul in order to create oftentimes alternate personalities in one human. They do that in order to create a complete disassociation between the activities that the individual is carrying out. And so it will not remember what it's doing in this moment, and when it goes into a hypnosis, they will carry out another activity and then won't remember what they're doing. So what's really important is to break the walls of that compartmentalization that has occurred through the reintegration of your fragments. And as you reintegrate those fragments, you begin to heal. Okay, and essentially you want to become one again. It is completely possible. I've done it with several clients and people that are, have been in MK Ultra, one which is quite well known. And so what that allow you to do is to begin to repair the multidimensional body, because right now the spin of the body has been split into and fragmented. So now we're just going to rebuild the spin of the body, because we are a vortex. We spin it really nice and fast in order to remove those blockages so that you can become a channel again for source. So meditation is incredibly important. The next part is the emotional. We need to train how to come into a state of neutrality, because you're going to recall a lot of memories that are going to be perhaps shocking, disturbing to you. And all of these things are potential experiences, and we need to see them just as that, so that we don't get completely lost in the emotional aspect of it and apply meaning that isn't necessary into those things, because they already existed, they already happened. Okay, and so remember that the journey of the human is to be able to become comfortable in the unknown. So all of these experiences, obviously you're an incredibly high level being that chose to participate in some of these experiences, and because you have a cultivated life force for centuries. Okay, so because of that cultivation that you've mastered in other lifetimes, you have the ability to break through this program, but it takes dedication, it takes patience, compassion, and powerful self-love in order for you to really refocus yourself from suffering into a state of sovereign empowerment. Okay, Crystal Light Codes, I hope that helped. Please let me know if you have questions or to work with me, let me know. Very good. What's your perspective on the ancient book? Okay, I answered that question. Thank you for that question, Trinkam. What happened to me in January where I heard high-pitched E in my ears and I started buzzing, vibrating, and I was told my guides it was going through a frequency upgrade. Yeah, it could be. I mean, we have to trust our intuition. When we receive messages, you have to listen to that and make sure that you're coming from a place of neutrality. We don't want to be in a state of over emotions, okay? When we're in a state of fear or in a state of way imbalanced joy, we're not seeing truth. So remember, when you receive these messages, put yourself in neutrality and then see if it's in alignment with you. Okay. David Daly, how do you heal lower back pain, sacral chakra? Okay, so this is really important. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine recently about how we completely don't pay attention to the backs of our body. And it's really important that we understand that the back of the body is actually the most important in order to manifest and move and put action to the things that we're trying to manifest. You won't be able to do anything in your life if you are halfway perspective. You have to have a holistic perspective. This is the kind of energy, this is design of the universe, and this is the architecture of reality that we need to adjust to in order to make it in the next few years, okay? Because if we're only looking from the front and we don't know what's happening in our back, you're not knowing. Something can come there, and this is what happens. All of our strong emotions that we can't handle, things that we're in denial with, things that we fear the most, all of that is living in the back of the body, okay? And the back of the body begins to store the information over time, and it begins to stagnate. And what happens is that your chakra stops spinning, and literally your field of that layer of the body becomes ripped open. When it becomes ripped open, because of the stagnant, slow moving vibrational frequency, you become a match to something that can be parasitic, or in other words, you allow your life force to become drained from your body because of your unconsciousness. You're unconscious of what's occurring. Any part of your body that's unaware is unconscious and therefore draining of its life force. This is just the way that energy works, okay? So we just need to become aware of that and work. So what's happening in the lower body? Several things, especially in the lower hip area of the body, we tend to store resentments and anger. Okay, so anytime that we start having resentments, depending on what side of the body, whether it's right or left, if it's left, it's the feminine. If it's the right, it's the masculine. So if it's right in the center, we need to look at the relationship with both of those. Okay, and basically the balance of both those aspects of ourselves. We are storing resentment towards one of these energetic aspects of ourselves. So we need to work with that. And I want you to notice, anytime that you feel not supported, that you feel that you're carrying a lot on your back, or you're lonely and you don't have support, this is kind of the resentment to the collective. It's like we always feel separate. We always feel that we don't have the support, the love that we need. And it can be very, very deep kind of resentment that kind of started at a very, very early age. Okay, so I really want you to take a look at that and see if you are holding on to any of that. I have healed myself from things that I thought I would literally die from. Okay, and I did actually when I had a near-death experience in 2018. Came back to life by doing energy work in the realm of death. Okay, so we can literally bring ourselves back by destroying thought forms. And when you destroy thought forms to experience, it doesn't exist in the hologram. It simply doesn't exist. So this is what I would greatly, greatly advise. Okay. All right, so let's see what other questions so that I don't remember much with details. Thank you for incredible work. Just a few days, I feel like I've come through the tunnel. So great to see you, our believer. That's amazing. Let me see, what other questions do we have here? I'm gonna have to lift this up. Hold on a second. Day. Okay, so Pono says, do you think given the rate of SSP asset disclosing, this will be disclosed mainstream? I think we've had enough disclosure, everyone. We have lots of disclosure. Lots of people are coming out. I mean, I'm not sure why we doubt what exists already. I think we need to check in with our intuition and see what's true. What will it benefit you for them to come out and tell you, this is real? To me, it won't affect a single thing because I know what's real. I know myself. And again, we are co-creating our own experience. So please never expect anything external to confirm or to deny anything that you're experiencing personally. And just this is also part of our self-love and becoming one, is that we are listening to our brothers and sisters and their experiences, and we're learning through that. We grow through that. So let's honor those people that come forth with their experience. Every single person is individual, and we cannot judge any experience. We have to learn from that and just observe, take what we need and leave what we don't need. So this is very important right now. Would love to do a past life regression. I think a lot of important information would come up to help me. Wish I knew if I'd be there to be able to get deep hypnosis. Hi, Teresa Cal. Yes, all sessions are actually done internationally and virtually. So you don't need to be here to get the hypnosis. And it is really powerfully healing because the cyclical patterns that we experience in our lifetime are not just about our ancestors within our bloodline, but our simultaneous lifetimes are also mirrors of those same cyclical patterns. So a lot of times, everyone in our ancestral lineage, we've already had lives with at some other point in time, and are having lives with in different points in time, which are simultaneous to now. So if you can clear, just like in your DNA reprogramming, if you can clear some of those and become a clear understanding, it will immediately affect your current lifetime. So it's a really powerful thing. I asked this guy a question about the person one day. I spelled it back in the block letters. Not sure how to take that, just saying. Okay, I don't understand RR2. All right, my loves. Thank you so much for joining me today. Do you have tips to destroy thought forms and how we can master emotions, but mainly joy and bliss? Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, if you take a look at the video, I'm actually going to post it here for you. I'll link it here for you. There's an exercise on how to work with those, dissolving those thought forms. It can be very simple. It's just a matter of becoming aware of your emotions at that time and what you need to counter that emotion. So, for example, if you have an experience where the belief is that mother is not safe, mother doesn't provide nurturing, mother is not there for me, she's not protecting, for example, what would be the opposite? First of all, what do you need from the mother? What does the mother represent to you? What mother represents to you is what all feminine energy represents for you. Okay, that's important because the divine feminine is surrender and intuition. And if we're having trouble becoming intuitive, if we're having trouble trusting ourselves, if we're having trouble surrendering in our lives, it's stemming to this belief system with our mother. Okay, so the opposite of that is to trust, to love unconditionally, and basically to be able to surrender. Trust yourself so much that you can surrender. And this is how we embody the divine feminine. And this is not just for a woman. I'm talking both men and women have these energies within them. So we have to access that information. Okay. Adriana Hoda, reality looks very artificial. Yeah, it can be very artificial when you start seeing through all of the little, games that are played oftentimes. The constructs that are created around us, and it's quite liberating when you can see through that. And sometimes it becomes difficult to even watch films and movies, or people that are not being honest with themselves, because you can really see through that. And that's a good place to be, because you're now understanding who you are. Okay. Kesvi's World says, what are your thoughts on physical immortality? I absolutely believe that physical immortality is available to us. It is a possibility. I think that our mind has been programmed to believe that we have 100 years of life maximum. And of course, we live in an environment where we're not educated at an early age to understand what the human body requires in order to maintain longevity. In fact, our body, when we ruin the genetic makeup of the body by putting chemicals, by stress, by repeated non-sleeping, not drinking water, so many things. Remember, epigenetics means that the entire body is being affected by its environment. So when we don't have a constructive environment, the human organism becomes sick and ultimately dies. Right? So because of the dualistic experience that we're in, we have the opportunity to experience death, but you also have the experience to experience life. There are many monks in history and other people in history that have mastered their mind and programmed their mind to not understand that age means that you're deteriorating. And they live on. 150 years, 200 years, there have been historically people that have lived that long. And, when you ask them, what's your thinking behind that? They think, why should I die? I'm existing here and I'm experiencing this life. So the programming is completely changed. Now, there's things that we can eat and herbs that we can also take to help ourselves, right? Damage that is done to the cells of the body by smoking, chemicals, all kinds of things that harm the body, those are sometimes, causing harm long term. So we need to repair that. You can repair that immediately by changing your belief system. So everything is belief. And historically, there are people that have lived for centuries. I mean, before that, right? And then we had resets. We go through these different resets. So we just have to reprogram our mind. And I actually would love to talk more about that sometime because it's a very interesting topic. And there's some energetic things that you can do to help yourself. Maybe we'll do a workshop on that. Thank you, Caspi's World. My past life regression with you is awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. What a gift to hear that. Thank you. It's possible that someone can be hypnotized. Absolutely. In fact, we are always mostly hypnotized because we are not aware of ourselves. We are actually just, when you're driving and you're daydreaming, for example, that's hypnosis. You are in absolute hypnosis. And you are actually very suggestible, which is perfect for marketing companies, advertising companies that are constantly bombarding you with ads left and right, okay, through the radio, social media, whatever it is, we're being bombarded with that. And that's because the majority of us are already in hypnosis. So we're highly suggestible. And oftentimes we don't even realize how suggestible we are. We can even manifest illnesses. If you watch 5 minutes of television, you will have 4 of those minutes are commercials for, drugs and illnesses and the side effects of drugs. I mean, they list out every single one. Why? Because you are programmed in that moment to become a hypochondriac, essentially. And that as soon as you start to feel sick because you're depressed and you're disconnected, you're not eating properly, you're not meditating, you can immediately, your brain pulls from the data bank of information that was subliminally put in your body, and you pull from one of those things, and your body, because it's an intelligent organism, responds to the information and data that's being fed. So we have to have total awareness of ourselves at all time. We have to have total control of the mind and the thoughts and emotions that are being triggered by that, because it is affecting us in ways that we have yet to understood. So please take a look at that, and let's use hypnosis for something productive, like healing. We've done some amazing healing work. In simplicity, governance means to manipulate minds through the messages that uses the resource. Yeah, and that's a good point there. You are always so enlightening, Geraldine. Thank you. Thank you, Neo. I'm so happy you're here. Zokchil, I just booked mine. Yay, I'm so happy. I can't wait to work with you on the hypnotherapy. Brilliant. Thanks, Geraldine. Hi. David Daly. Thank you, Geraldine. Very helpful. Spot on. Much obliged. Thank you. What does alkaline water help? I think it does help, but again, everybody's body's different. Everybody needs different things, and the most important thing about water is that water is a conduit. And this is something that I'd love to talk to you about in another, live that we do. But when you put salt water in front of you when you're doing healing work, it is a powerful absorber of heavy density energy. So when I do my healings, I have 3 cups of water directly in front of me here in my desk in my office, and this is virtual. I'm clearing people from this energy, and by the end of the day, my water is dark and dirty. Dark. It's literally gray. I will take a picture one day, but this is literally an absorption of water. So when it creates crystals, we know, Masaru Emoto talked about how when you put an intention in water, because it's non-crystallized information data bank, it stores data. Okay, so whatever water you're drinking, I want you to fill it. You're going to ground yourself. You're going to align your emotions, and you're going to fill it with whatever you need in that moment. It becomes your medicine. And I have literally healed myself from so many different things just by doing that, to food, to water, whatever I'm drinking. Okay? All right, my loves. I really love spending so much time with you. We can be here all night, I'm sure. And we will do more of these. Actually, my plan is to be here every Monday at this time. Okay, so someone asked me earlier about a schedule. I would really like to create this as a weekly thing that we can do. And yeah, have your questions. I'm so happy to connect with you. Have an incredible week. And I will be doing a meditation later this week as well. Okay, we'll get into some work with you. Much love. I'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.